A rugged cowboy adopted a lost little black girl, only to discover she is the daughter of a gorgeous black widow. "You can't keep hiding in my barn, child," the weathered rancher whispers, pulling the trembling girl from the shadows during a thunderstorm. Townspeople sneer at the broken widower's foolish charity, predicting his failing ranch will collapse under the burden of caring for an abandoned child. They whisper he's destined for financial ruin and social exile. But when an elegant black widow arrives seeking her daughter, she shatters every expectation. This isn't a desperate woman needing rescue, but a successful businesswoman whose mysterious past has followed her to his doorstep. Unknown enemies circle closer, and her wealth may be built on deadly secrets that could destroy them all. Can this unlikely family survive the forces hunting them, or will protecting each other cost them everything? Before we continue, comment where you are tuning in from. Perhaps we will publish a story there. The rain hammered against the barn roof like gunshots. Caleb Whitmore pulled his coat tighter as he checked the horses one final time. 3 years of drought had nearly killed his ranch. 3 years since Sarah died carrying their child. 3 years of watching everything slip away. A rustling sound came from the hayloft. Caleb froze. Bandits had been hitting ranches all month. His hand moved to his rifle. A small face peered down at him, dark eyes wide with terror. A child. "Come down from there." His voice came out rougher than intended. The girl didn't move. She looked maybe 8 years old. Her dress was torn and muddy. Quality fabric, though. Expensive boots peeked from beneath the hem. "I won't hurt you." She climbed down slowly. Her hands shook as she clutched a silver locket. "Where's your family?" "Bad men took Mama." The words came out as a whisper. "She told me to run." Caleb's chest tightened. Another child without a mother. He knew that pain too well. "When did you last eat?" She shrugged. Her thin frame told the story. "Come inside." The next morning brought visitors. Sheriff Coleman rode up with 2 townsmen. Caleb met them on the porch. The girl stayed hidden inside. "Heard you took in a stray." Coleman's voice carried disapproval. "Child needed help." "That child is trouble. Her kind always brings problems." Caleb's jaw clenched. "She's 8 years old." "Don't matter. Town's already talking." "You can't afford more problems with your debts." The reminder hit like a punch. Caleb owed money to half the businesses in Cedar Ridge. His cattle had died in the drought. His crops had failed. The bank wanted payment by Christmas. "What I do on my land is my business." Coleman shook his head. "Not when it affects the whole town. Get rid of her before you regret it." They rode away, leaving dust and judgment behind. Caleb found the girl sitting by the kitchen window. She'd been listening. "Am I trouble?" "No." He sat across from her. "What's your name?" "Amara." "I'm Caleb. This is your home now." Her eyes filled with tears. "Mama said she'd find me." "Then we'll wait for her." Over the following weeks, Amara proved herself useful. She fed chickens without being asked. She helped mend fences despite her small size. She read better than most adults in town. Wherever she'd come from, she'd been well educated. The locket never left her neck. Inside was a photograph of a beautiful woman and some folded papers she wouldn't discuss. Town visits became ordeals. Shopkeepers watched Amara with suspicion. Mothers pulled their children away. The preacher suggested Caleb reconsider his Christian duty to his own kind first. Dr. Matthews was different. He examined Amara's cuts from her escape without judgment. "She's healthy now." He spoke quietly to Caleb. "But she's been through trauma. She needs stability. She'll have it. The town won't make it easy." Caleb already knew that. His credit had been cut off at the general store. Former friends crossed the street to avoid him. Coleman visited weekly with new warnings. But Amara brought life back to the empty house. She asked questions about everything. She laughed at his terrible cooking. She fell asleep reading books from Sarah's old collection. For the first time in 3 years, Caleb felt purpose beyond mere survival. Strange men appeared in town asking questions. They claimed to be cattle buyers, but showed no interest in livestock. They described a woman and child matching Amara's description. They offered money for information. Caleb kept Amara close to the ranch. Something about those men felt wrong. One evening, she showed him the papers from her locket. Legal documents with official seals, property deeds, business licenses, all bearing the name Evelyn Harper. That's Mama's work papers. Caleb studied them. These weren't ordinary documents. They represented substantial property holdings across 3 territories, boarding houses, supply contracts, serious money. Your mother owns all this? Amara nodded proudly. Mama says smart women make their own way. This changed everything. Amara wasn't some abandoned waif. Her mother was a businesswoman of considerable means. The expensive clothes made sense now. So did the education. But if Evelyn Harper was successful, why hadn't she found her daughter? What had happened during that stagecoach attack? And why were strange men asking questions with money in their hands? Caleb watched Amara practice her letters by lamplight. She'd been writing the same thing over and over. A letter to her mother describing the ranch and the kind man taking care of her. Tomorrow he would ride to town and send word through proper channels. Evelyn Harper deserved to know her daughter was safe, but something nagged at him. Those men asking questions hadn't seemed like worried family friends. They'd seemed like hunters. A horse approached through the darkness. Caleb grabbed his rifle and moved to the window. A lone rider dismounted at his gate. Even in the moonlight, he could see this was no ordinary traveler. The woman walked with confidence despite the late hour. Her dress was elegant. Her posture spoke of education and means. She moved like someone accustomed to being in control. Amara gasped from behind him. "Mama!" The woman at the gate moved with the confidence of someone who owned the world. Evelyn Harper stood silhouetted against the moonlight, her traveling dress immaculate despite the long journey. This wasn't the desperate mother Caleb had imagined. Amara burst through the door and ran into her mother's arms. Evelyn lifted her daughter with elegant strength, her relief genuine but controlled. "Thank you for caring for her." Evelyn's voice carried education and authority. Caleb lowered his rifle. "She's a good child. She is my greatest treasure." Up close, Evelyn was even more striking. Her dark skin glowed with health and prosperity. Her jewelry was real gold. Her boots were handmade leather that cost more than most men earned in months. "I expected you sooner. I had business to conclude first." Her tone suggested those business matters took priority even over her daughter's location. They moved inside. Evelyn examined every inch of the cabin with calculating eyes. She noted the clean floors, the mended furniture, the books Amara had been reading. "You've done well by her." Anyone would have. "You'd be surprised." Bitterness flickered across her features. Amara chattered about ranch life while Evelyn listened with focused attention. She asked detailed questions about Caleb's routines, his neighbors, his financial situation. Her inquiry felt like a business assessment. The stagecoach attack. Caleb finally broached the subject. "Unfortunate timing." Evelyn's response was clipped. "Amara said bad men took you." "Bad men underestimated me." She smiled, but it didn't reach her eyes. Evelyn opened a leather satchel and counted out more money than Caleb had seen in years. "For your trouble. Keep it. I insist. I don't take charity." Her eyebrow raised. "This isn't charity. It's payment for services rendered. I didn't do it for money." Something shifted in her expression. Surprise, perhaps, or respect. "Why did you do it?" Caleb looked at Amara, now asleep against her mother's shoulder. "She needed help, despite what your neighbors think, especially because of what they think." Evelyn studied him with new interest. "You're not what I expected. Neither are you." The next morning revealed the full scope of Evelyn's success. Her carriage was custom-made. Her horses were thoroughbreds. Her traveling trunk contained business correspondence from 3 territories. She examined Caleb's account books without permission. Her finger traced his debts and failed investments. "You're hemorrhaging money." Thanks for noticing. Your cattle operation is positioned wrong for this terrain. Your crop rotation ignores soil conditions. Your supply contracts are robbery. Caleb bristled. I've been ranching since before you were born. Clearly not successfully. The blunt assessment stung because it was accurate. I can fix this. She continued reviewing his ledgers. I didn't ask for fixing. Your pride matters less than Amara's safety. If this ranch fails, where does that leave her? The question hit home. Caleb had grown protective of the child in ways he hadn't expected. You're taking her away anyway. That depends. On what? On whether you're willing to learn. Over the following days, Evelyn demonstrated business acumen that left Caleb stunned. She renegotiated his supply contracts through connections in Denver. She identified new revenue streams he'd never considered. She restructured his debts with terms that made survival possible. How do you know all this? Necessity. She reviewed contracts with practiced ease. When my husband died, his business partner tried to steal everything. I had to learn fast or lose it all. You built your empire from nothing? I built it from less than nothing. I started with debts and threats. Her success suddenly made sense. This wasn't inherited wealth. It was earned through intelligence and determination. Town reaction to Evelyn's presence was immediate and hostile. Whispers followed her carriage. Store clerks treated her with barely concealed contempt. The sight of Caleb, Evelyn, and Amara together sparked outrage among people who'd never cared about his welfare before. Sheriff Coleman arrived with reinforcements. This arrangement needs to end. What arrangement? Caleb faced down 3 armed men. You know what people are saying. I don't care what people are saying. You should. Your reputation affects property values, business relationships, community standing. Evelyn emerged from the house. Her presence commanded attention despite the hostility. Sheriff. Her greeting was cordially dismissive. Coleman's jaw tightened. Ma'am, how long you planning to visit? As long as business requires. What kind of business? The profitable kind. Her confidence unsettled the men. They'd expected deference, not defiance. Folks are concerned about outside influences. Folks should concern themselves with their own affairs. After they left, Caleb found Evelyn organizing his financial records. You don't have to stay. Yes, I do. Why? She looked up from the ledgers. Because those men asking questions in town aren't law enforcement. They're Pinkertons, and they're not looking to reunite a family. What are they looking for? Me dead. Amara disappeared. My businesses transferred to their employer. The casual delivery of this devastating news left Caleb speechless. The stagecoach attack wasn't random robbery. It was attempted murder, and whoever ordered it isn't finished. Evelyn returned to her calculations as if discussing the weather. So we stay until I can eliminate the threat permanently, assuming you're willing to provide temporary shelter for a reasonable fee. Caleb looked at Amara playing with her doll by the fireplace, then at Evelyn, calmly planning their survival with mathematical precision. What's reasonable? Saving your ranch, teaching you proper business practices, and splitting the profits from our improved operations. She offered partnership, not charity. Respect, not pity. Deal. Her smile was genuine this time. Good. Now let's discuss why your neighbor's cattle keep dying while yours survive. Evelyn transformed Caleb's failing operation with surgical precision. She identified water sources he'd missed, negotiated grain contracts that cut costs by 40%, and established supply routes that bypassed hostile local merchants entirely. Your problem isn't the land. She sketched diagrams on his kitchen table. It's thinking too small. Within 2 weeks, she'd connected his ranch to her boarding house network. Fresh beef delivered to 3 territories, guaranteed income streams, profit margins that made survival possible. Caleb watched her work with growing amazement. Every decision was calculated. Every conversation served multiple purposes. She played business like chess while everyone else played checkers. Where did you learn this? Trial by fire. She reviewed shipping manifests without looking up. My husband's partner tried to bankrupt me after the funeral, said women couldn't handle real business. I proved him wrong. The story emerged in fragments. Marcus Donnelly had been her husband's silent partner in a Denver freight company. When Thomas Harper died, Donnelly claimed sole ownership through forged documents. He'd expected Evelyn to accept token payment and disappear. Instead, she'd fought him in court, won partial settlement, used the money to buy her first boarding house. Built an empire from spite and necessity. Donnelly didn't appreciate losing. He's the one behind the Pinkertons? Among other things. Her casual delivery masked serious concern. Caleb was learning to read her tells. The way she organized papers when worried. How her voice stayed level under pressure. Town hostility escalated as Evelyn's influence became obvious. Former friends cut Caleb dead in the street. His credit was destroyed at businesses that still honored Evelyn's contracts. The contradiction wasn't lost on local merchants who needed her money but resented her presence. Dr. Matthews remained supportive. She's helping people whether they admit it or not. That grain contract feeds half the county. The pastor was less charitable. That woman brings nothing but trouble. Mark my words. Caleb's defense of Evelyn grew more vocal as attacks intensified. When banker Harrison suggested she was corrupting community values, Caleb's response carried across the entire saloon. She's got more integrity in her little finger than this whole town combined. The confrontation established clear sides. Caleb had chosen his loyalty publicly. Evelyn said nothing about the incident when he returned. She simply handed him revised contracts that increased his share of their partnership profits. You don't owe me anything. I owe you everything. His voice carried conviction he hadn't felt in years. Their first kiss happened during a thunderstorm. Evelyn was calculating feed costs by lamplight. Caleb was mending harness leather. Domestic tranquility that felt like home. I haven't felt this settled since Sarah died. Evelyn looked up from her figures. Thomas would have liked you. He believed good men were rarer than gold. What do you believe? I believe you're proving him right. The kiss was gentle, respectful, full of promise neither dared voice yet. Amara giggled from her bedroom doorway. Mama's smiling different. 3 days later, Marcus Donnelly arrived in Cedar Ridge. The man commanded attention through sheer arrogance. Expensive suit, imported carriage, an entourage that included 2 lawyers and a federal marshal who looked uncomfortable with his assignment. Donnelly took rooms at the hotel and held court like visiting royalty. He bought drinks for anyone willing to listen to his version of events. That woman stole my business through legal trickery. She's wanted for fraud in Colorado. I'm here to bring her to justice. His story painted Evelyn as a manipulative criminal who'd seduced her husband into signing over legitimate business interests. He produced documents that appeared official, witness statements from Denver businessmen, federal warrants that looked authentic. Sheriff Coleman arrived at the ranch with the marshal in tow. Caleb met them on the porch. Evelyn emerged from the house with Amara close behind. Mrs. Harper. The marshal touched his hat. I have papers requiring your return to Denver for questioning. Evelyn examined the documents with lawyer's precision. These warrants are improperly filed. Wrong jurisdiction. Incorrect dates. Ma'am, I'm just serving papers. You're serving forgeries. Her voice carried absolute certainty. Donnelly's carriage appeared at the gate. The man himself stepped down with theatrical flourish. Evelyn, you've led us quite a chase. Marcus, still stealing what isn't yours, I see. I'm reclaiming what was always mine. Thomas signed everything over before he died. You've just been playing house with property that belongs to me. Thomas signed nothing. You forged his signature after the funeral. Prove it. I intend to. Donnelly's smile was predatory. You can try. But I have federal backing now. Your little empire is finished. He turned to Caleb with dismissive assessment. This your new protector? Doesn't look like much. Caleb stepped forward. Looks can deceive. Indeed they can. Donnelly's attention shifted to Amara. Pretty child. Shame she'll grow up in an orphanage when her mother's in prison. The threat was unmistakable. Evelyn's hand found Amara's shoulder protectively. You always were a coward, Marcus, threatening children when you can't win honestly. I'm not threatening anyone, just stating facts. Your illegal business practices have consequences for everyone involved. His gaze lingered on Caleb meaningfully. This ranch, for instance, associated with known criminals, subject to federal seizure, terrible thing to lose everything over bad associations. The marshal looked increasingly uncomfortable. Mr. Donnelly, perhaps we should focus on the warrant. Of course. Evelyn, you have until tomorrow to settle your affairs, then you're coming with us. After they left, Evelyn paced the kitchen like a caged predator. He's overplayed his hand. How? Those warrants are forgeries, but good ones. That takes federal connections, more resources than freight business profits could buy. She pulled out paper and began writing with urgent precision. He's not just stealing my businesses anymore. He's trying to eliminate me permanently. But Marcus always was too greedy for his own good. What are you doing? Sending telegrams. If he wants to play with federal authority, I'll give him federal authority. Her smile was sharp as winter steel. He just made one critical mistake. He threatened my daughter in front of witnesses. Now this becomes personal. The next morning brought reinforcements. Donnelly returned with additional lawyers and a second marshal who looked more competent than the first. His confidence had doubled overnight. Time to go, Evelyn. She emerged from the house carrying a leather portfolio. Her calm demeanor unsettled Donnelly's theatrical authority. I'll need to review those warrants one more time. You reviewed them yesterday. I review all legal documents thoroughly. Professional habit. She examined the papers with deliberate slowness. Her finger traced specific phrases. Her eyebrow raised at particular signatures. These are quite detailed, Marcus. Very specific about dates and locations. Federal prosecutors are thorough. Indeed they are. Her smile was razor sharp. Especially about the stagecoach robbery outside Millerville last month. Donnelly's face went rigid. What about it? Strange coincidence. My daughter and I were attacked at that exact location, same date mentioned in your warrant. The first marshal shifted uncomfortably. The lawyers exchanged glances. Robberies happen all the time. True. But this warrant suggests you knew about my travel plans before I made them. Very impressive intelligence gathering. Caleb watched the exchange with growing understanding. Evelyn was leading Donnelly into a trap. The warrant also mentioned specific items stolen during that robbery. Items I never reported missing because I was too busy saving my daughter's life. Lucky guess. Or inside information. Donnelly's lawyer stepped forward. Mrs. Harper, these delays serve no purpose. They serve truth. She turned to the marshals. Gentlemen, how did federal prosecutors obtain details about crimes that were never reported to federal authorities? The second marshal frowned. Ma'am, this warrant lists specific stolen items. Describes the attack location with perfect accuracy. Names participants I never identified publicly. Her voice carried prosecutorial precision. Either federal investigators have supernatural abilities or someone with direct knowledge provided this information. What are you suggesting? I'm stating facts. Only 3 people knew my exact travel route that day. My driver, who died in the attack. My daughter, who was unconscious. And the man who arranged my transportation. All eyes turned to Donnelly. His theatrical confidence was cracking. You're making wild accusations. I'm presenting evidence. She opened her portfolio and distributed documents to the marshals. Copies of contracts showing Marcus Donnelly arranged my transportation, hired the driver, selected the route, insisted on specific timing despite my preference for earlier departure. The papers passed between official hands. Donnelly's lawyers read over their shoulders with growing alarm. Transportation arrangements prove nothing. They prove opportunity. Here's motive. More documents appeared. Financial records showing Donnelly's freight company is bankrupt. Has been for 18 months. He's been stealing from my accounts to cover his debts. Lies. Bank records don't lie, Marcus. Neither do federal auditors. She produced a final set of papers that made both marshals straighten with attention. Treasury Department investigation into fraudulent federal contracts. Seems someone's been billing the government for services never rendered, using my business licenses without authorization. Donnelly's face had gone pale. Where did you get those? The same place you should have gotten your warrants. Legitimate federal authorities. The trap was sprung completely. Donnelly had revealed knowledge he couldn't possess through legal means. The stagecoach robbery wasn't random banditry. It was attempted murder disguised as theft. You hired those men to kill my daughter and me so you could claim our businesses through forged inheritance documents. That's insane. Is it? You just demonstrated detailed knowledge of a crime scene you shouldn't know existed. Your warrants contain information that was never reported. Your transportation arrangements put us in harm's way at precisely the right time and place. The second marshal was taking notes. The lawyers were backing away from their client. Furthermore, those bandits you hired made one crucial mistake. They left witnesses. Impossible. Everyone died. The words hung in the air like a confession. Everyone present understood what Donnelly had just admitted. Everyone except my daughter and me. And now everyone except you, apparently. Donnelly realized his error too late. His mouth opened and closed without sound. How did you know people died, Marcus? The newspapers reported a robbery with injuries. No deaths were mentioned publicly. The first marshal was already reaching for his handcuffs. Sir, I think we need to discuss your involvement in these matters. This is ridiculous. She's manipulating you with clever words. She's presenting evidence while you're confessing to murder. Caleb felt admiration and horror in equal measure. Evelyn had orchestrated this confrontation like a symphony conductor. Every question had led Donnelly deeper into his own trap. The robbery was supposed to eliminate loose ends. Evelyn continued relentlessly. My death would have transferred business ownership through forged wills. Amara's death would have prevented future inheritance claims. Clean solution to your financial problems. You can't prove any of this. I don't have to prove it. You just confessed to it in front of federal marshals. Donnelly's panic was complete now. He looked around desperately for support that had evaporated. Those men you hired have been in federal custody for 2 weeks. They've told very interesting stories about their employer's instructions, about ensuring no survivors, about payment for permanent solutions. I never said that. They have signed statements saying you did, detailed descriptions of payments received, specific instructions given. Federal prosecutors are quite thorough when investigating attempted murder. The handcuffs clicked around Donnelly's wrists. His lawyers were already distancing themselves professionally. This is all circumstantial. No, Marcus. This is justice. Evelyn watched her former tormentor led away with satisfaction that was almost serene. 3 years of legal harassment, 18 months of financial manipulation, 1 month of attempted murder, all to steal businesses you were too incompetent to run legitimately. As the carriage disappeared toward town, Caleb found his voice. How long have you been planning this? Since the moment I realized who was asking questions about us in town. Marcus always was predictable. Give him enough rope and he hangs himself. The federal documents? Legitimate. I've been cooperating with Treasury investigators for months. Amara emerged from the house where she'd been safely hidden during the confrontation. Is the bad man gone, Mama? Forever, sweetheart. Forever. News of Donnelly's arrest spread through Cedar Ridge like wildfire. The federal marshals had taken him directly to the territorial courthouse where additional charges awaited. Wire fraud, federal contract violations, conspiracy to commit murder. Sheriff Coleman arrived at the ranch that evening looking thoroughly humbled. Mrs. Harper, Mr. Whitmore. He removed his hat awkwardly. I owe you both an apology. Evelyn received his contrition with polite distance. Apologies don't erase months of harassment, Sheriff. No, ma'am, they don't. But I hope they're a start. Caleb watched this reversal with grim satisfaction. The same man who'd threatened them weekly now stood hat in hand begging forgiveness. The federal investigators want to interview you both tomorrow. Seems Donnelly's been running schemes across 3 territories. We'll be available. Evelyn's tone suggested the matter was closed. After Coleman left, Evelyn revealed the full scope of her preparations. "I've been corresponding with federal authorities since before the Stagecoach attack. Marcus got sloppy with his government contracts. Treasury noticed discrepancies months ago. You've been investigating him? I've been documenting everything, every forged signature, every fraudulent claim, every threat against my family." She produced a file thick with evidence. Letters, financial records, witness statements from business associates across multiple states. The attack on our Stagecoach was his fatal mistake. Murder brings federal jurisdiction automatically. Caleb marveled at her thoroughness. While he'd been worrying about daily survival, she'd been building an airtight legal case. The Pinkertons asking questions in town weren't working for Marcus. They were working for Treasury, gathering additional evidence about his local activities. So we were never really in danger? We were in considerable danger until I could prove who was behind it. Marcus was desperate enough to try anything. The next week brought a parade of federal officials. Investigators interviewed everyone who'd had contact with Donnelly. His financial crimes unraveled spectacularly under scrutiny. The stolen government contracts alone carried 10-year sentences. The attempted murder charges promised life imprisonment. His business empire collapsed as legitimate partners discovered they'd been unknowingly involved in federal crimes. Dr. Matthews stopped by to check on Amara and stayed for coffee. "Town's talking differently now. Folks are ashamed of how they treated you both." "Shame doesn't undo damage." Evelyn's response was measured. "No, but it might prevent future damage. People learned something about judging too quickly." Some townspeople began approaching Caleb with cautious respect. The banker who'd denied him credit now inquired about investment opportunities. Merchants who'd refused his business suddenly had special offers available. Evelyn watched these reversals with calculated interest. They want access to our success now that it's proven legitimate. Are you interested? Selectively. Good business doesn't hold grudges, but it remembers lessons. She began accepting certain partnerships while declining others. The pastor who'd condemned her presence found his church renovation fund lacking donors. The merchants who'd supported them during difficult times received preferential contracts. Justice doesn't always require punishment. Sometimes it just requires memory. Caleb's transformation during these weeks was remarkable. The broken widower had become a confident businessman. Evelyn's guidance had taught him to see opportunities instead of obstacles. "You've given me back my life. You gave me back my faith in good men." Their engagement announcement surprised no one who'd watched them work together. Amara had been planning their wedding for weeks without official permission. "I already picked flowers for Mama's dress." The ceremony planning revealed how completely their lives had intertwined. Evelyn's business associates would attend alongside Caleb's ranching neighbors. Her boarding house network would provide accommodation for his distant relatives. Dr. Matthews agreed to perform the ceremony. "It'll be my honor to marry two people who've proven love conquers ignorance." Federal prosecutors kept Donnelly in territorial prison pending trial. His confession before witnesses had eliminated most legal maneuvering. The evidence Evelyn provided guaranteed conviction on multiple charges. He'll spend the rest of his life in federal prison. The lead prosecutor seemed satisfied with the case's strength. Good. Evelyn's response carried finality. "You built an impressive case, ma'am. Ever consider legal work? I prefer business, more profitable and less depressing." Caleb's ranch had become the most successful operation in the county. Evelyn's organizational systems increased productivity while reducing costs. Their combined resources opened markets previously impossible for small ranchers. "We should expand operations." Evelyn reviewed profit reports with satisfaction. "How much expansion?" "Enough to make this the largest cattle operation between Denver and Helena." Her ambitions matched her capabilities. Plans emerged for additional land purchases, improved breeding programs, and expanded shipping contracts. "Your neighbors will want partnerships once they see our success." "The same neighbors who wanted us gone." Business makes strange allies. Profit overcomes prejudice more effectively than preaching. The wedding preparations brought unexpected support. Women who'd snubbed Evelyn offered to help with arrangements. Men who'd avoided Caleb volunteered labor for reception preparations. People want to be associated with success. Evelyn observed the transformation pragmatically. Does that bother you? It's human nature. I don't have to like it, but I can use it. Sheriff Coleman delivered the final news personally. Donnelly took a plea agreement, life sentence in federal prison. He'll never see freedom again. What about his associates? Prison sentences ranging from 5 to 20 years. His whole operation is finished. Evelyn nodded with quiet satisfaction. Justice served. More than served, ma'am. You handed federal prosecutors the most complete criminal case they've ever seen. After Coleman left, Evelyn sat on the porch watching Amara practice writing techniques Caleb had taught her. It's over. All of it. All of it. We're free to build whatever future we choose. Caleb joined her on the porch steps. What kind of future do you want? The kind we make together. 6 months later, the wedding bells rang across Cedar Ridge on a crisp autumn morning. The church overflowed with guests who'd traveled from 3 territories to witness the union of Montana's most unlikely power couple. Evelyn walked down the aisle in ivory silk that matched the morning sunlight. Amara preceded her as flower girl, beaming with pride at her role in creating this new family. Caleb waited at the altar in his finest suit, transformed from the broken rancher who'd found a lost child in his barn. Dr. Matthews performed the ceremony with genuine warmth. We gather today to witness the marriage of 2 souls who've proven that love builds bridges where others see only barriers. The congregation included federal prosecutors who'd worked Donnelly's case, business associates from Evelyn's empire, and townspeople who'd learned to respect what they'd once feared. Even Sheriff Coleman attended, his presence a public acknowledgement of his changed perspective. Do you, Caleb, take Evelyn to be your wife, your partner in all endeavors, your companion through whatever challenges await? I do. Do you, Evelyn, take Caleb to be your husband, your ally in building the future you've dreamed, your shelter in any storm? I do. The kiss that sealed their marriage carried the weight of everything they'd survived together. The congregation erupted in applause that echoed across the valley. The reception showcased their combined success. Tables groaned under food supplied by Evelyn's boarding house network. Musicians from Denver provided entertainment. Local ranchers mingled with territorial businessmen in unprecedented harmony. Amara commanded attention in her new dress, accepting congratulations on her role in bringing her parents together. She'd appointed herself official wedding coordinator and took the responsibility seriously. Mama and Papa are going to be so happy. She informed everyone who'd listen. The gift table revealed how dramatically their fortunes had changed. Crystal from Denver merchants, silver from grateful federal officials, land deeds from neighboring ranchers seeking favorable partnerships. Mayor Henderson, who'd once questioned their presence, now delivered a toast celebrating their contributions to community prosperity. To Caleb and Evelyn Whitmore, whose success has lifted all our fortunes. The irony wasn't lost on anyone present. The couple, once shunned as outsiders, now anchored the county's economic future. Dancing continued until midnight. Caleb and Evelyn's first dance as husband and wife drew appreciative murmurs from guests who'd witnessed their journey from suspicion to celebration. Did you ever imagine this day when you found Amara in your barn? I imagined surviving another winter. This is considerably better. Their honeymoon was spent touring Evelyn's business properties across 3 territories. What might have been romantic leisure became working education, as she showed Caleb the full scope of their combined empire. The boarding houses impressed him with their efficiency and profitability. Each location generated steady income while providing essential services to traveling businessmen and families. You built all this from a single property? I built it from necessity and stubbornness, the same qualities that saved our ranch. Her business model was elegantly simple: provide clean accommodation, reliable meals, and honest service at fair prices. Reinvest profits into additional properties. Expand carefully but consistently. We can apply these principles to ranching operations: quality product, reliable delivery, fair dealing with all parties. By spring, their integrated operations had become the territory's most successful agricultural enterprise. Caleb's ranch supplied beef to Evelyn's boarding houses, while her network provided guaranteed markets for neighboring ranchers. The model attracted attention from territorial officials seeking economic development examples. Journalists arrived to document their unconventional partnership. How does a failed rancher become Montana's cattle king in less than a year? By marrying Montana's smartest businesswoman. Caleb's answer drew laughter but contained absolute truth. Evelyn's response was more diplomatic. Success comes from combining different strengths toward common goals. My husband understands land and livestock. I understand markets and finance. Together, we're stronger than either could be alone. Their influence extended beyond business into social change. The sight of their mixed family succeeding had forced community conversations about judging people by character rather than appearance. Young people especially embraced their example. Children who'd grown up seeing racial division began questioning inherited prejudices. Amara's presence in school had normalized diversity in ways lectures never could. "That child's changed everything just by being herself," Dr. Matthews observed during a family dinner. "Children see possibilities where adults see problems." Evelyn watched Amara help younger students with reading lessons. The anniversary of Donnelly's arrest brought a letter from federal prison. His desperate attempt at reconciliation fell on deaf ears. Some people never learn that actions have consequences. Evelyn burned the letter unread. "Do you ever regret how hard you fought him?" "I regret that fighting was necessary, but protecting family requires whatever strength circumstances demand." Their second year brought expansion into mining investments and railroad partnerships. Evelyn's strategic vision combined with Caleb's operational knowledge created opportunities neither had imagined separately. The ranch now employed 30 workers from diverse backgrounds. Former prejudices dissolved in the face of steady employment and fair treatment. Good work pays the same regardless of who does it. Caleb's hiring philosophy reflected lessons learned through hardship. Amara grew into a confident young lady who moved easily between her mother's business meetings and her father's ranching operations. She absorbed lessons from both worlds while developing her own interests in education and community service. "I want to start a school for children whose parents work at the boarding houses." Her proposal demonstrated inherited ambition channeled toward service. Excellent idea. Education creates opportunities that last generations. Their story had become county legend, the broken rancher who'd found redemption through kindness. The successful widow who'd found love through partnership, the lost child who'd found family through courage. On quiet evenings, they sat on their expanded porch watching sunset paint the mountains gold. Amara practiced piano inside while ranch hands finished daily chores. Do you miss the simple life? This is the simple life. We work hard, treat people fairly, love our family, and build something lasting. Caleb nodded toward the valley where their influence had created prosperity for dozens of families. Not bad for a cowboy who adopted a little girl. Not bad for a gorgeous widow who chose the right partner. Their laughter carried across the valley like a promise that love, determination, and mutual respect could overcome any obstacle.